the process of HRM or the process of human resource management. So it starts with human resource planning. The process of human resource management starts with human resource planning. And the first stage in human resource planning is recruitment, followed by de-recruit. Now, recruitment we have already discussed. Then, when an organization is having openings in it, and when the organization is calling for application, that process of calling for application for the available position in the organization from the eligible candidates is called as recruitment. So that is the meaning of recruitment. De-recruitment means that when the applications are received and when they are scrutinized by the organization rejects the ineligible candidates, the candidates who are not eligible for the position. These applications are rejected by the organization. So only eligible candidates who fit into the qualification criteria of the company, they are shortlisted for the next process or next stage of interview. The remaining candidates who are not eligible for that particular position, their applications are rejected by the organizations. The rejection of those applications of ineligible candidates is called as de-recruitment. So de-recruitment means when the organization, while scrutinizing, rejects the applications of candidates who are not fitting into the educational qualification required for that particular position. That rejection of not eligible candidates is called as de-recruitment. Next process is called as selection. So once the applications are shortlisted, then the selection process starts. The suitable candidates or the selected candidates who have been shortlisted for the position, these candidates are informed that they have been shortlisted and they are called for the selection process or for the interview, and that is called as selection. So selection process starts once the applications are shortlisted or the applicants are shortlisted for the position, and then these applicants are informed that they have been shortlisted for the position, and on so and so date, at so and so place, at so and so time, they need to present with all the required documents for the first process or the first round of interview, which can be followed by second, third, fourth, fifth round of interview till the final selection is done. So that particular process of selection, that means right from the first round of interview till the last round of interview, till the candidate is finally selected for that particular position, that process is called as selection process. Next one, identifying and selecting the competent employee. Now suppose selection process has shortlisted again. Only 5 requirements are there, but they have shortlisted 6, 7 employees whom they feel that yes, these employees are suitable for the position. Next stage is identify and select the competent employees. So from these 6, 7 employees, only 5 are to be hired by the organization. So the next stage or next process is that from this 6, 7, again, the organization will see to it that who are the employees who are having more potential, who are more competent than the other particular candidate. So that process is called as identify and select the competent employees. Next process starts with orientation. So what is the difference between orientation and induction? That also we have discussed. So here orientation means that the information related to job, related to the department is shared with the employee. So that means a short information or a short type of training of say 1 day, 2 day, 3 day or 4 day, it depends upon organization to organization, is provided to the employee, where he or she is explained his job, what he or she is expected to perform on the job, then how they need to perform the job, then the organizational structure, then the structure of the department is also shared. So all this information which is related to the job is shared with the new employee. So that is under orientation. Once this primary orientation is done, once the person is aware of what is the name of the job, what are the duties and responsibilities of the job, who are the authorities whom he or she is supposed to report to, what is the structure of that particular department. So once this all primary sort of information is being provided to the new person who has joined the organization, then the next stage starts with training. Once the primary information is given, then before the new employee immediately starts with his work, he or she is deputed for training. So training, again, it depends upon the type of the job. If the job is very simple, then it can be a 1 or 2 day training. If the job is complicated or complex, then the training can be of more duration. It depends upon the type of the job, where the employee has been hired, and the rules and regulations or the norms of the organization. That some organization provides say 1 day training, some organization provide 5 day training, some organization provide 15 days training. It all depends upon organization to organization and their policies. Plus, it depends upon the nature of the job. If complex job is there, more training is required. Simple job is there, less training is required. Next one. Now, under training, what should happen? Person is is deputed for a training, provide employees with up-to-date skills and knowledge. So what is expected from training is that the employee should be provided with up-to-date skills and knowledge, so that once the training is done, the employee can start manner or in better manner his productivity, or without any doubt, without any query, he can independently handle his job without interference of any official or interference of the supervisor. So that type of training should be provided. Next one, performance management. Now, under performance management, what is expected is that once the person has been given deputed for the training, under training, he has been given up-to-date knowledge, and what is expected, then what is expected is that that person should perform on the job efficiently and effectively. Now that is where performance management comes. So if a person is given proper training, up-to-date knowledge about his job, then there are more chances that the performance of the employee will be good. And the next stage is performance management. Now there, the performance is managed by the organization. Now, what happens when a newly employee is doing his job for the first time in the organization? Every day or being performance is whether his performance is moving in the right direction or whether his performance needs some sort of improvement. That is checked by the supervisor or by the senior officials of the organization, and that person that is called as performance management. Now, after 1 day, after 3 day, after 5 day, once the performance is evaluated of the new employee, the company or the official or the supervisor will come to know whether whatever has been taught in the training has been understood by the employee or not. If he or she has understood everything, whatever has been taught in the training, that will be reflected in his or her performance on the job. So after 3 days, when the performance is evaluated by the senior officials or by the supervisor, they will come to know whether he or she has understood everything in interview at the time of training or not. If understood everything, it will be reflected in performance. If understood, then what will happen? The performance may have certain problems. His performance may not be in that particular manner which is expected from after from the employee after getting a training. So if suppose if he or she is not performing well, then immediately after 3 days, after 1 day, whatever the policy of the company is, the company will come to know that the person is not trained well. So some more training is required. So instead of waiting for over a period of say 1 month and then deciding that whether the person wants more training or now he is perfect to handle his work single-handedly, what they are doing is they are not waiting for a period of say 30 days or 1 month or more period, but they are immediately managing the performance of the employee after say 1 day or after 3 days or maybe after 4, 5 or 7 days. कि 7 दिन के बाद ही परफॉर्मेंस चेक की जा रही है. अगर उसकी परफॉर्मेंस अप टू द मार्क विच इज सेट अप बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज नॉट देयर, then training properly, he can performance management. At present of the employee, it is present that in present how he or she is performing. If performing well, then everything is moving well. If not performing, that his performance is to be managed and more training is to be imparted to that particular person, and that is under performance management. Next one is related to compensation and benefits. Performance comes to know that who are their star performers, who are the good performers, and who are the average performers. Now the company starts motivating not only the average performers or the good performers, but they also motivate the star performers. The employees who have already exceeded the target, which was set by the organization. They are also motivation only apart from regular compensation, that is regular salary. So that is under compensation and benefits. If more benefits, more incentives are being provided to the employees, they are expected to do better, which will be profitable for the employees as well as for the organization. So that is under compensation and benefits. Next one is career development. Now, career development means we have discussed career planning and succession planning. So career development means every employee in the organization should be provided a equal opportunity for growth in the organization, and that is the meaning of career development. Now, suppose we are talking about that there are 2-3 employees in the organization who are the star performers of the organization. Now, organization wants the employees. Is there for the position of executive. When there is an opening in the organization for the position of executive, where that particular position. Now, instead of promoting one of the employee to the position of executive, if the organization gives an advertisement in the newspaper that they require now what these three people will be thinking, that we have performed very well for a period of say 2-3 years for the organization, and these three were expecting that whenever that means career development is not properly implemented. Now, what are the after effects of this particular decision? Now, these particular three employees who were performing better, their performance may come down because they will feel demotivated, or they switch their job. So the organization may lose good, talented performers who will be always thinking of switching the job because they are not seeing development or growth opportunity for them in the organization. So what is expected from HR point of view is that first priority should always be given to the internal candidate. If the internal candidate is not suitable for the vacant position, then the organization can opt for external candidate. If such is the policy that whenever there is a vacancy in the organization, first priority will be given to the internal candidates. Internal candidates will be, say, first called for the interview of that particular vacant position. If they are unable to clear the interview, if the company feels that vacancy is there, but they are not having any suitable candidate internally in the organization who can occupy that particular position, only at that particular moment, external candidate can be recruited. So if such policy is there, then definitely we can say that the company is having talent, the company is having career development practices. So that is called as career development. So please remember, a good employee will stick to the organization over a period of longer time when he or she feels that he or she is having enough growth feel that no opportunity is available, then definitely they will be thinking of switching over of the job. Last one, retain competent and high performing employees. Now, in 1940, the resources which can be used as the company is using another resources. Another resources means just like machines. When machine has become unproductive or has developed a problem, then what the company used to think is that if we replace the machine with new machine, automatically the productivity will improve. Same is the case was followed by the employees of the organization also. Whenever the company used to feel that a particular employee is not performing well, immediately they used to remove that employee and new employee used to be recruited or hired. So that was the scene, particularly in 40s, 50s, and 60s. Later on, the rules were made very strict, and it was not easier for the employer or the organization to remove a person. Certain rules and regulation were to be followed, then only the employee can be removed. Now here they realized after 70s, there was a theory which is called as theory Z, where it was believed that the employees are the most important resources which can make the organization profitable. Now this theory was first practiced by the Japanese companies, and they concentrated on retainment of the employee or retaining of the employee. In 60s, 70s, and 80s, when Japanese companies were at the top of the world, they were, say, ahead of American companies when America was the only superpower. So then it was studied that how instead of American companies, Japanese companies are outperforming the American companies. So it was realized that their retention rate is better than the American companies. When studied, it was the companies, the American companies came to know that they used to concentrate more on retaining their employee. That once an employee has joined the Japanese company, the company will take care of all his necessities, and the employee used to retire from that organization. So एक बार ज्वाइन हो गया तो रिटायरमेंट तक वो कंपनी में ही रहेगा. And the majority of the employee in Japanese company were like that. At the young age, they used to join a company. At the old age, after attaining the age of say 60, 65, whatever their retirement age is, they used to retire from. Started retaining each and every, that all the employees who have been hired by the organization, recruited by the organization, they should be retained by the organization. Then only the organization will become profitable like Japanese organization. So that was in 70s, 80s, and 90s. Later on, when at the start of 2000s, it was realized that it is not necessary to retain each and every employee. Then this concept was added: retain competent and high performing employees. If an employee has been trained one time, trained 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, but still the employee is an average performer, he has not been able to improve his performance, that employee is not for the good of the organization. That will not make the organization profitable, because enough chances have been given to that particular employee, but still he or she is unable to improve his or her performance. If such is the case, then the organization should not be retaining that employee, because it will not be good for the profits of the organization. So what the newer thought was, that it is not that retaining each and every employee who has joined the organization, but it is retaining of what? Retaining competent and high performing employees only. So those who are performing well, only those employees are to be retained, not all the employees. So this was related to the process of human resource management. Now we will move on to the various challenges which are being faced by human resource management. Now, first challenge is change management. Now, we know that change is always required for the survival of the organization. Change is must. The organization which do not change, they are not profitable organization in the long run, and many a times they need to close down their businesses also. So to be profitable in the long run, the organization should always be open for change. So change is very important. So first challenge is change. Now, for example, a very common example which everyone is aware of. For 20 to 25 years, very common example. For 20 to 25 years, Nokia ruled the world as the topmost brand in mobile industry. Around 70 to 80% market was covered by Nokia. So only Nokia was there. So they had a thought that as they are at the top for over a period of 20 years, whatever they are doing is the best. What was their thought? Their thought was whatever they are doing, that means their policies, their strategies, their marketing plans, their quality of product, their pricing strategy. So whatever they are doing with their handsets is absolutely good. No improvement is required. No change is required. So that was their thought. So when the Android approached them with the new technology, Nokia outrightly rejected that particular offer, that we do not require any change because for last so many years we are at the top, and for next so many years we will be at the top, and that was their projection. But later on, when Android approached Samsung, Samsung was ready for change. They knew that new technology is coming, and if they accept this new technology, definitely it will be better for their mobile handset company. And we all know what happened later on. Now, no one is having, or we can say very few people might be having the handset of Nokia company. No one knows that for last 20-25 years, Nokia used to top the mobile handset industry. Now, the major reason was that they rejected to change. They refused to change. So change is a process which is continuous in nature. The companies which accept change, they are going to grow in the future. And the company who refuse change, they are going to face losses, and in the long run, they may close down their businesses also. So that was a very common example which everyone is aware of. Now we are talking about challenges of HRM. Now, change management, it is not easy for the organization to handle change in the organization, because they are changing the of the human beings. Now, be it with you, be it you or me or any other person, all the human beings, as human beings, we have a tendency that normally we resist change. We feel comfortable that whatever we are doing, we are very much comfortable in it. So there is no need to go for change, because if we are going for change, that means some extra efforts should be put by ourselves to attain that particular change. Because for change, we have to go for, say, training programs, we have to learn new techniques, we have to apply our brain more, So we have to invest more time into it. So when we are very much comfortable, we do not want to do all these things. So the first thing what a human being does is he or she always try to reject change. That is why one of the challenge of human resource management is to convince the human beings who are working in the organization, the employees of the organization, that this change is for the benefit of the employees. If they are able to convince in a proper manner to the employees of the organization, then only the change process can be initiated in the organization. Otherwise, most of the people will will oppose this type of change. Now, for last so many years, info when the information technology, I'll give you a very simple example. For last so many years, when information technology penetrating in education field, say 10, 12 or 20 years back, when the everything lots of changes were initiated, and it was expected that the teachers should be comfortable with the new techniques of teaching. But as most of the teachers were comfortable with the existing methodology, they were not ready to change. They were not ready to change. So whatever we are doing existingly at present is quite right. Results are good. Then why? What is the need for a change? So most of the teachers used to reject that particular change. Then came COVID-19, and it was made compulsory, or there was no option but to upgrade the teachers, and teachers had to upgrade themselves to conduct online session. Because of lockdown, no classes, no physical classes could be engaged in, so they need to change themselves. So sometimes change can happen voluntarily when the benefits are informed to the employees of the organization, and sometimes because of this sudden, say sudden what we can say is pandemic type of situation, or when a person feels that his job is at stake, then the person starts changing. So earlier we were also not very comfortable with that, how to conduct online sessions, how to share screen. So we are not at all comfortable with that. We were tutored by the college, let's go for a 1 week program.
So the voice is break.
To participants online, sessions, how to close the session. We were being trained by the IT officials of our college. And then, because of accepting that change, now we feel that it is good for us. So why change is a challenge? Change is a challenge because the organizations are dealing with employees who are human beings, and the general tendency of human being is to resist. Now, for example, if classes are held in the classroom and the timing is say 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For entire first semester, the timing is same from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So students are very comfortable. Everyone knows that they have to get ready by 10 a.m. for the classes, and by 5 p.m. They will be closed. Second semester also the same process is repeated. That means class starts at 10 and ends at 5. All of a sudden, at the start of third semester, the institute decides that the classes should start at 8 a.m. and every student has to report to class at 8 a.m. So most of the students will not be able to report at 8 a.m. because they are used to class at 10 a.m. So they will definitely going to resist. And there can be various they can give various that
Sorry to interrupt you. The voice is breaking.
because of say water comes late, it comes at 7 or 8 in the hostel, so it is not possible. So various reasons can be shared by the students because they are more comfortable, they have become more comfortable. Had it been at the first day itself, the college would start at 8 a.m., then they would have been comfortable, but now they are not comfortable. So that these are some of the challenges which are to be overcome by the HR department. Next one is leadership development. So every organization should try to develop leaders in the organization itself. Always they cannot keep on hiring or recruiting the managers who are considered who are good leaders too from outside. So what they have to concentrate is that who are the people, who are the employees who are working in the organization, who are having potential to be a good leader. These people are to be identified and these people are to be groomed. So it's a difficult task. Next one, HR effectiveness measurement. Whether the human resource or whether the employees who have been hired by the organization, they are effective or not. Again, this is a challenge for human resource management because exact calculation is to be done. And when we are dealing with human beings, exact calculation is very difficult. Now, how exact calculation can be done? That how much expenses have been made on a particular employee and what is the productivity of that particular employee. So individually, everything is to be studied and then only decision can be taken that whether the employee is effective for the organization or not. So it's a huge task and it's a difficult task. That is why it is one of the challenge of human resource management. Then not only employee effectiveness, overall whether the organization is effective or not. So they need to study the policies, rules and regulations of the organization which they are following, whether because of these policies the organization is moving ahead or not. If it is moving organization is compensation. Compensation again here is salary. What should be the exact salary which should be given to different position people, and which will make them stick to the organization for a longer period of time? Again, it's a challenging task. कितना salary होना चाहिए? It should not have, they are given very less salary, given so much salary that they become careless. Salary should not be very low and salary should not be very high also. Salary should be having a correlation between the job and the output of that particular job. Then what is the weightage of that job in the organization? So all these things are to be considered before finalizing the salary for that particular job. So it should be a good salary which can make the employee happy and which will stick the organization with the employee with the organization. So again, everything is to be studied, everything is to be calculated, then only one figure can be finalized by the organization while finalizing the salary of different positions in the organization. Next one, staffing, that means recruiting and availability of skilled local labor. Again, recruitment, and in recruitment and selection, what happens is that on the basis of the educational qualification and on the basis of the candidate's performance in the interview, the candidate is selected by the organization. Now, whether this candidate who has performed very well in the interview and who is academically very qualified, whether this candidate will be a good performer in the organization, it is only thought at the time of selection that as he is academically very good, as he has performed very well in the interview, he will be or she will be a good candidate for the organization in the near future. But in near future, when actually the candidate starts working in the organization, whether the candidate will be a good candidate or a average candidate or a not so good candidate, it all depends on his future, his or her future working. So at the time of selection, it is thought by the organization that he or she will be a good performer. But at actual, whether he or she is a good performer or not, that is to be decided later on. So that is why it is said that staffing or recruitment again is a challenge. Then availability of skilled labor force. Sometimes it may happen, sometimes, rarely it happens, but sometimes it may happen at the lower level jobs, that the company wants 50 employees to be recruited at the lowest level, and only 50 or 55 employees turn up for the interview. Now, in such case, what will happen? If the need of the organization is very urgent, they urgently need these people, then what will happen? They will have to select each and every one because of lack of skilled labor in the market. So if more skilled employees are there, then they can call, say 50 employees are to be recruited, they can call 500 employees for the interview, prospective candidates for the interview. Then they can shortlist the 50 best. But if they are getting only 50 for 50 or 55 for 50 or 60 for 50. So they are not having any chance for selecting the best possible candidate. So again, one of the challenge is sometimes some of the organizations are situated in such places that they are unable to get the supply of skilled labors. Next one is succession planning. Succession planning, we have already discussed that it is planning for the highest position of the organization. Now, why it is challenging? It is challenging because again, we are dealing with human resource. No one is aware that, or no one can exactly say, ensure that after 1 year this manager will retire, or after 2 years definitely the managing director is going to leave the organization. So no one is sure, and as it is at the topmost level, it is very expensive also to train people at the highest level as the successor of general manager, as the successor of managing director of the organization. It involves a heavy capital also. So it's a expensive thing. That is why it is considered as a challenge for the HR department. Next one is learning and development. Learning and development is training and development. Now, training and development, why it is challenging? Because human beings are, all the human beings are different. Some people require soft skill training, some people require training related to the job, some people require emotional type of training, some people require other type of training. So to segregate people that these 5 people require, said that they are very emotionally weak, so they should be trained on that parameters. These 5 people, they are not good in communication, so they should be trained on that, those parameters. So segregating all the people of the organization, that yes, this person requires this training, this person requires this training, and these people require this training, it is again a difficult task. That is why it is covered under challenges. Next one, staffing. Understaffing, it is retention. Retaining good performer, again, it's a very difficult task. It is not easier for the organization to retain the good performer, because every time the organization cannot increase the salary, every time they cannot keep on increasing the benefits, because the organization has to know its capacity also. They cannot give things beyond the capacity of the organization. If it is not possible for the organization to give bungalow to the managing director of the organization, how the organization can afford that? So that particular managing director may leave the organization if the other organization, which is a large scale organization, is providing him more salary with a bungalow. Is a challenge for the human resource management. Last one is benefit cost, that is health and welfare. That how much is to be spent on health and welfare, that is again a challenge, because very less amount is say spared for spending on health and welfare of the organization, because every organization wants more and more profit, and because of that very less amount is shared with the human with the human and health and welfare. It's uh, very limited range for the this is all as as we have already the time, so we will stop here, and tomorrow again we will meet at sorry, it is not tomorrow, but on Monday. If the timings are to be changed, we will let you know. If no notice is being shared related to time, then please remember the lectures will start at the same time. Thank you for joining today's session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.